Hey, everybody. Kevin here with Pursuing Pixels, and welcome back to another edition of Save It for the Cast. And before Randall, John, and I get into the chit-chat as usual, I guess as usual, I'm going to fire off a few indie game recommendations that I've been playing lately. And I don't think we've mentioned this quite yet on the podcast, although we have recorded one of the episodes, but Randall and I have been digging into and are going to continue digging into the Super Mario Land and then the Wario Land games on the Game Boy. And I'm not going to really talk about either of those here. But I've been playing some games, some indie games that have been, I would wager, heavily inspired by the Wario series in particular, Wario Land, and even the WarioWare games. And first, I wanted to mention Antonball Deluxe. And this one kind of more inspired by the latter, the WarioWare games, but it's still a 2D side-scrolling platformer. But it's essentially a 2D side-scrolling platformer meets Breakout, where you're essentially every stage is like, and obviously it's like a side-on, like horizontal breakout instead of like where the bricks are at the top of the screen. They're on the right-hand side, and you're basically controlling Anton or any of the number. There's tons of characters, and there's actually a few different game modes. There's even like a whole different game mode. But before I get to that, the main like Anton Ball mode, and I think this is a game that started off as a Game Jam game, like a Game Boy Jam, if I'm not mistaken, because it's definitely got very much like a Game Boy Advance. There's even a Game Ball Advance filter, and it really nails that Game Boy Advance look and feel to the gameplay and just everything about it. It's got really great, charming music, really awesome expressive pixel art and sprites. And again, really kind of sticking to that, like, it's kind of almost like a cross between Game Boy Advance and Game Boy Color, like something about the way that like the sprites are like a little more low res than you would typically see on the Game Boy Advance, but it still kind of has that more textured look to it. I don't know quite how to describe it, but the gameplay is, honestly, really, really tough, especially in the main, like, Anton Ball mode, because you're really, like, the one ball that you're trying to protect from, like, entering there's, like, an exit, essentially, at the left-hand side of the screen where, like, if the ball falls down the pit, essentially, it's like a pinball pit or whatever you want to call it. But essentially, you have to just block the ball and stop it from going in that hole or in that pit or in that goal or whatever you want to call it, in the hole in the wall, and then knock all the bricks that are on the right-hand side. And obviously, things just keep getting more and more challenging as the levels go on. And then there's a whole second game mode that I mentioned, which is called Punch Ball. And this is actually more like a Super Mario Bros. And I'm talking like the original Super Mario Bros. Where it's like Mario versus Luigi. And you're kind of, the first zone even takes place down in the sewers. And that's like probably my only gripe about this game is like it really almost leans like a little too heavily into like the Wario Mario influence, which is really cool. Like, I love all the nods and it's cheeky and it's charming and everything, but it's just like, I wish it had a little more of its own personality, if you will. But aside from that, like, the gameplay is just so fun, and the punch ball mode is, honestly, I find it even more addicting than the Anton Ball. And essentially the difference of the gameplay here is like you're running around and kind of bumping, just like you would in Super Mario Brothers. You can either bump the enemies from like the platform beneath them to kind of flip them over, or you can pick up like the orb or like the ball, the punch ball, I guess. It's almost like a little dodge ball, and you can whip that at the enemies, and then it kind of stuns them. And just like Mario, you have to go over and like kick them to clear them off the stage, and you just have to clear all the enemies, and that's pretty much all there is to it. But it's really fun, really charming, and it does have a bunch of online multiplayer modes, but multiplayer modes in general, versus modes. Just a really, really cool game. And then another game that I've been playing a ton of just before actually sitting down to record this, I was just playing a bunch of Beard Blade, and I've played a little bit of this before, and this one is definitely leaning more into the Wario Land inspiration. And I would say that it's or influence, I should say, but I would say it's almost like a mix of Wario Land and then the Shantae games, and in particular Shantae and the Pirate's Curse. At least that's the one I've played the most of. But like in the way that, like, I don't know, it's just a 16-bit, 32-bit, era side-scrolling platformer where it's like leaning into it's got a little bit of like Monster Boy or Monster World DNA in there as well. But you're like, it's not too heavy on the combat, but at the same time, like, there are enemies to watch out for, and it's not an easy game by any means. There's tons of pits to fall down. There's definitely plenty of obstacles and things that can kill you for sure. But at the same time, like a lot of the enemies, when you jump on them, you can actually use them just like in the Wario Land games as like a platform to reach a higher level or to spring off of to get a hidden coin. And another cool thing about this game is like it's got a really great overworld map, and every stage actually has like a day and a night version of each stage, which is almost like a totally different like branching path. That maybe not the entire stage is different, like sometimes the beginning is the same or the second half of the stage might have some crossover in terms of like the level design or the level terrain that you're traversing. But there's usually, or not usually, there's always like a totally separate path that kind of has some extra hidden coins and whatnot. There's like essentially every level almost has a second, kind of like Ukulele in the Impossible Lair, where there's like a second version of each level. Like you can kind of like manipulate the book in a certain way to like create the second version. This one, you don't have to do anything in particular. You just have to choose either day or night. But the reason I was kind of thinking kind of compared more to the Shantae games is because you kind of reach like a barber shop, which is really cool. Again, like this game is just super charming. Like when you attack, your beard turns into like a giant sword or a mace. It kind of just alters between a handful of different, like a giant fist or something. There's a few different things, and they don't do anything different. It's just like your attack, but it just kind of changes things up. But even when you're like climbing up a tree, instead of like using your hands, it actually like your beard turns into like two giant arms and you climb up a tree. But also that kind of lets you know that like, hey, you can't attack right now because you're using your beard to climb. So it does like a really good job with the visual, like, I don't know, visual gameplay cues and stuff like that. So I really am enjoying this game from top to bottom. Like they're just really nailing that. We have a video coming up for it soon too, but they're really nailing that like Super Nintendo era, 16-bit. Yeah, it just really feels like a true Super Nintendo game, to be honest. Like I'm really, really loving it so far. Really great level design, and really great kind of puzzly, kind of more like just chill, like a lot of times when I'm playing platformers, I tend to lean towards the precision platformers, and this one's kind of nice in the sense that, again, it's not an easy game, but there's like seemingly, like once you hit a checkpoint, it's like unlimited continues. You're not set to like a certain number of lives or anything like that. So it's just nailing everything from the aesthetics to the gameplay to the level design, and really can't recommend it enough. And then I did want to give just one more quick shout out, and I just played a little bit of this one right before firing up the recording here, and I did play a little bit of this one before when it was still in development, and this is a game called Rubris, and it's from Saturn Yoshi, who also goes by Sarn or Pluto Birdo on Twitter. I'm not sure which one they actually choose to, like what their main handle or whatever is, but they're part of Team Bugulon, who I know we've mentioned a few times on the podcast during the Ludum Dare game jams or the Game Maker's Toolkit game jams. They have a pretty large team of like, I think like upwards of a dozen or even more people, but Saturn Yoshi happens to be one of them. I'm just going to use that name, I guess, but they happen to be one of the developers on that team, and they happen to make this game Rubris, and it's basically like a Tetris meets a Rubik's Cube, where you're not actually controlling the blocks that are falling. They're kind of falling from either the top, the bottom, the left, or the right of the screen, and then you're actually rotating the Rubik's Cube, essentially, or the cube that's in the center of the screen, either up, down, left, or right. And again, that's obviously twisting in like a three-dimensional fashion. And then the only other control you have over the blocks that are falling is like to press a button to like hard drop them. And you can see like a shadow within the Rubik's Cube. And really you're just trying to clear lines as like a timer starts ticking down. And then as you clear a certain number of lines, and if the timer ticks all the way down to 0, it's game over. But as you clear a certain number of lines, like the timer will boost up, and then you'll get to the next difficulty stage, and then it'll just start introducing new puzzle pieces like that have bombs in them that'll blow up and clear bigger chunks of the cube at once. But you don't have to like make a whole side of the cube. You just have to make a straight line. But obviously you get bigger points for creating combos, or not combos, but getting like a bigger clearance at once. But it kind of never drops more than 3 like tiles at a time, or like a puzzle piece that takes up 3 grid spaces. But it just does a really great job of it. Takes a little bit of getting used to, but as soon as you kind of learn to read the visual cues, and like for example, like in the 3-dimensional space, like when it's a little bit hard to tell like which of the 3 rows like which row of the Z-axis the puzzle pieces are on, but like once you start to be able to read it, you can see like, oh, okay, if it's like totally whited out, that means it's in the very, very back row. If you can kind of see it like faded with like a little bit of, there's like a little triangle symbol and like a little bit of like the color comes through, it's in the middle row. And then if it's like a fully filled in piece, it's in the front, which obviously those are just easier to see anyways. But once you get the hang of how the game reads, it really kind of becomes this like frantic back and forth. And again, as the timer's ticking down and you're trying to increase the timer, like almost like Crazy Taxi style, where you're like, you drop out, you're increasing the timer before you're like, a racing game where you're hitting the checkpoints and you have to hit the checkpoint to extend the race. It kind of works that way in the sense of, trying to extend your high score, but it really is just a high score chasing arcade game. And it does have online leaderboards, which is absolutely amazing. I know we went nuts when Boba had you could play the game web-based and build levels and share them online. And this game kind of has, you can't build your own levels, but it does have an online leaderboard just built in right to the web-based game. And maybe that's not impressive to other folks, but I find that just so cool that you can just log onto the internet, play a game that you don't need to do anything or download anything and still compete for the online leaderboard scores. So I just wanted to give a shout out to those games real quick, especially since Randall and I are going to be talking about the Wario Land and Super Mario Land stuff coming up. But I think without further ado, I can throw it over to Randall, John, and I, who are going to be all over the map talking everything from the Ouya to basketball to Miyazaki and so on and so forth. But thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week.
I'm at the point now where I'm like, oh man, maybe I should be selling some of my synth gear and like upgrading that I should have done like from the start. But I was
no, but you probably went in and got some like stuff that you did a lot of research probably.
Yep.
And I found stuff you knew.
I did, but there's always more. There's always more
well,
research.
Yeah, there's always more. And there's
like,
always
I could have done but yeah, that's why like literally the stock response for every time, like on the modular Reddit, like they're like, hey, I've been like looking into like starting a Euro rack setup or starting a synth setup, like what should I do, or like where should I start? And every single person is like, make sure that you actually want to, because like
this is a rabbit hole.
This is a huge time and money commitment, and like if you jump in like too soon, and then you're just going to be like, oh cool, I spent $500 and I can't use this system yet.
Right.
Yeah.
You still need this adapter and this thing. And really, if you're researching ahead of time, you should have probably bought this version as a better base model for this and this.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's like a free version of it, and like every single time it's like, start here.
Yeah.
Start here, do that for a year.
Yeah.
Well,
it's basically what they used to say about people that wanted to collect for Neo Geo. It's like, do you really want to collect for Neo Geo? Because we're talking about
that's a commitment.
Hundreds, if not thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Like, just to start.
I'm so glad I never got like totally down that path. Like I stuck to mostly the main. I mean, I went off the total mainstream path, but like stuck to the kind of main consoles and never. I don't know. I just can't imagine how bad my bank account would be damaged.
My God. I actually love I love a lot of Neo Geo games, but the size of the cartridges was like a big, inhibitor from being able to do it, because we were in apartments up until now.
Yep.
Yeah. I was going to say, you mean huge. The physical size. Those things are massive.
Yeah. Like
the size of a console.
Yeah. Yeah. They're huge.
Yeah.
Which makes sense, because they're like literally arcade boards just put in a cartridge shell.
Yeah. It's an impressive console.
Oh,
for
yeah.
Sure.
Like, that shit came out the same time as the Super Nintendo, but was like arcade hardware. It was like really
just
impressive.
Straight arcade ports of games, pretty much. Like were they 100% true to arcade, or were they like slightly modified?
No, in fact, you could do an adapter or modify your home Neo Geo to run the arcade, versions of those games. There's no.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's sweet. I didn't know that. I knew that they were like the same ish, but for some reason I thought they were like a slight downgrade.
Yeah.
This is I love. I'm looking because I like realized like, oh, I don't think I know what like the size of a Neo Geo cartridge is. And
Big boys.
wow. Yeah,
They're huge. Like
It's a briefcase.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, when I said console size, like, it's definitely bigger than like a Genesis 3, which is
Yes,
the Genesis
easily.
version I have,
Easily.
Here,
which is like basically the size of like a old portable CD player.
Right.
Someone has the next to a SNES and NES cartridge.
Oh my god!
Yep.
I feel like,
Blind.
can you see the depth of that too? Because I feel like they're pretty fat too, if I'm not mistaken.
They are, yeah. They're at least a good 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches.
Yeah,
Well, I guess I
they're
didn't.
honkers.
Guess I didn't know that Genesis cartridges were also pretty small compared to SNES.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
how
they
they
are
could get away
kinda-
with that Nomad, that portable action.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those. I guess that like, if you plugged in a Genesis cartridge like on the back of a Switch, like that's like a good size. Like, it's not too bad of a size cartridge. And they're lightweight too. Those cartridges weigh nothing. So
Yeah. Yeah. I like those. I'm a fan.
yeah. I never had a Nomad. I've never even actually seen one like in person. I know what they look like, but I've never seen one.
I coveted one for a good long while, but like a lot of things of that vintage, the like portable screen is not the highest quality necessarily. But they've, of course, because of the modding and retro community, they've got full out replacements that look awesome, you know. But
Yeah, that you can
that costs a fortune.
Yeah.
Man, I still don't have every system straight. Like I don't know if I've ever seen a Nomad, and I'm looking at them now because
They're pretty dope.
That looks cool, but like,
Yeah.
oh man, I also never
fact-
had a Genesis. Like,
Yeah.
I only had friends who had
Same.
Genesis or Master System.
Yeah.
So like, I also never got used to like the 6-button controls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I
Or even
cannot
the
wrap
three,
my
just
head.
like moving like a cross, like
Yeah.
just having to think like I got to just think 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Like,
It kind of makes
Yeah.
sense if the default was like B, but I bet it wasn't.
It's C. C was always the confirm button most of the time.
Okay.
which was the furthest. They were just in order,
To
right?
the right,
ABC,
yeah.
right to left.
Yeah. It's like the most right button. And if you had a 6 button, it'd be right and bottom, basically.
Right.
That makes sense to me, at least, for as a Nintendo person, because I know every non-Nintendo person is always like, "What is this? You have to hit A." Like on Switch, my brother was complaining, like, "What is this hitting A to confirm?" I'm like, dude, it's always been that way. Number one,
Yep.
And just like when people complain about like, why did Xbox or why did Nintendo have to mix up the A, B, Y? I'm like, no. It was always they've had that same button layout since Super Nintendo.
Yep.
And
Sony messed that
Xbox
up.
just.
Sony's the one that messed it up with the PlayStation with the X and O confirm and cancel buttons. That's different in
'cause
Japan.
I was gonna say, because I know like Metal Gear Solid 2 at least uses circle to confirm,
Right.
and stuff. Which at the time I was like, what the fuck? Like it threw me off so much in that game.
And they
Made
flipped
quite
it.
a few
They
player
flipped it for
errors.
the
Yeah,
US.
yeah. But at least it sort of made like in my head X made sense to like confirm. Like it,
Right.
They were at least different letter or different logos, I guess. Even though that wasn't X, but like. They didn't use the same combination of letters and then put them in different positions.
Right.
But maybe that's just like a patent or copyright thing, you know, where they couldn't put it in the same layout.
I'm trying to remember what the Ouya was. I know it was the letters in Ouya, but I don't
Yeah.
remember what the layout was.
I wanted to say I believe Y was in the same spot as the Nintendo
Why?
setup. Yeah, Y was in like the top, if I remember correctly.
It was, yes. So it was A was also in the correct same position. So it was, oh man. So it was in clockwise, O at the bottom, U on the left, Y at the top, A at the right.
That's right.
Weird.
Oh, that's so weird.
That's weird.
We're
I love
finally
when
gonna come to terms with selling off some of the old shit that I don't use, and I'll probably be unearthing the Ouya for potentially putting up on eBay at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I love when games in the UI will just put like, they don't actually put what, since I'm playing a lot on PC and stuff, when they just put like the 4 buttons and they'll just like dark, like the button that you need to press. Like, that's all I need.
But also, I have no idea, like in NBA 2K Playgrounds, when you are like buying a pack, it switches what button you need to like use. It's the like it is. I'm not sure if it's like purposefully obtuse so that you don't accidentally buy one.
Right.
But like every time, like you have to, I think, press the top button in order to purchase, and then you have to use the left button in order to open it. Or like, and then you have to, it's.
I've only done it a couple times, so I don't remember. But I do know what you mean. Where it's like it was
weird.
I had to think about.
I know
each
it was a
press along
deliberate
the way.
like choice every single time that I've done it.
Yeah. Which I get. Maybe they do that because can't you just like spend money and like
you can.
Yes. So I think that might, but still, it's just a weird. Why not just prompt you with a confirm?
Yeah. Just in case you slip and you double tap.
Or they're afraid kids are going to mash through and just buy everything or something. I don't know.
But you only have to buy one of the items is unlock everything.
That's true.
For like $20.
That's true.
It's not even that much.
Yeah.
I thought about it actually. I was like, the whole roster?
Yeah.
One swoop. I only paid $7 for this game.
Yeah.
Nah. You gotta play every single team and every single season.
No, it is kind of part of the fun of the game. Like the hook of it is like, who am I gonna get? But I'm sure we'll get into that.
That's right.
Yeah, I know. I did the fucking dumb thing after I played the Bulls so that I could get my at least some players I was familiar with.
Of course.
And then I started, like, I was like, all right, I guess I should go in order. So now I'm doing the Atlanta Hawks, and I'm like, cool. Why am I doing this? I don't know any of
John's going to go full
legacy
Smash Bros.
Like, it might be Dominique Wilkins. It might be Unlocking Neek, in which case I'm like, fine, I'll do that.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah, who are the other notable Hawks of history? Like,
was Mutombo on the Hawks?
He was. But like I also like the choices for characters on some of these teams are weird.
Some of them are wild, Like
you're just I got Joakim Noah on the Knicks.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a really, really weird place to put him. It's not like the Knicks don't have famous players.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I wonder if they're just like, hey, we made the character model for Joakim. Might as well put him on like all the teams he played on.
But I don't think he's on the Bulls.
No, they set him on one. They set each player on one team.
There's some that are on double.
No. Because I know Kevin Durant. Like, I have him on Golden State.
Oh, really?
But on the cover, it shows him on Brooklyn.
Okay.
Yeah, it's super weird, and it's also like, I think like they, because like you know how they rank characters as like legend or epic or whatever, and like some of them, I'm like, are you really gonna put that era of that character as the legend? Like.
Right.
And not on their much more famous and successful team.
I know. I saw that with like Jerry Stackhouse. They've got on the Sixers, which like I get he was drafted there, but like to me that was the prime time I watched like Pistons basketball. Was like he was Jerry Stackhouse was like
he was big time. That was like he was like
there. And then with Dallas was like, for a lot too.
That was like when the Pistons like when they were kind of good before they got good.
Right.
Was when Stackhouse
was
there,
the lead up. Yep.
But I wonder if that's just because we were there, you know, maybe Stackhouse wasn't as, but I feel like he was like
the guy.
Top 3 guys on our team for sure.
I think he might have been even the point leader, if not on the team, like one of the top in the league for a couple of years with the Pistons.
He was like all-star team for sure. Yeah.
And yet they picked his Sixers version for some reason. I don't know.
I don't know if they were just like scraping the bottom of the barrel for some teams. They're like, all right, we got like 20 people on the Lakers. Like, we got to find someone to be on the Raptors. Like,
you know, I kind of forgot about those old Pistons jerseys in the Stackhouse days.
I love that they have
turquoise
the old jerseys
with like the horse and the like engine.
Oh yeah,
those were kind of cool. I had a Grant Hill autographed jersey.
Nice.
That's a
Not it was like replica jersey. It was not like a cool jersey, but I went to Art Van Furniture and got Grant Hill's autograph.
That's
Dope.
hell yes.
The most Michigan thing ever.
That's a very Michigan sentence. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you guys if you have like a team that like because I am not really a fan of any team per se, like just because like I grew up like with the Bulls like championships, but I was like 6. So I was 6 at oldest.
Right.
So like I don't really have memories of the Bulls being good. And then like once I got into basketball, I was in college.
You didn't watch the Derrick Rose Bulls?
I did, and the first year that I actually got super into it was when he tore his ACL.
Oh.
So, yeah, there was a lot of heartbreak in those years.
Yeah, massive heartbreak.
So I don't really have like, I'm more of a fan of basketball in general.
Yeah,
but that said, like, there's just something in me that like. I like something dark in me that I will always hate the Sixers no matter what. And I don't know why.
I'm fine with that.
Like, I think it's just like, I don't like Philadelphia as fans.
Yeah. No, they're assholes.
Yeah, that's true.
And like, so like I'm seeing some stuff on like the timeline about like, oh yeah, I'm glad that like Joel Embiid like put away the Jazz, and I'm like, you know what? I hope the Sixers just fail so badly. I love Joel Embiid. I love Ben Simmons. I want them to succeed, but I really want the Sixers to fail.
That's funny. Have they had like players in the past that you've hated or anything, or you think it's just tied to the Philadelphia thing?
It's just Philadelphia, and like I don't know why. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I do know why, because like they're always just like nightmare people.
Yeah, they're just typically not likable folks.
Well, the Eagles fans, I used to really like the Eagles in the Donovan McNabb days for football, and like, but it felt like nobody, like their fans hated him. Like every year, it's like he's on the hot seat. It's like, dude, he just took you to the NFC Championship 5 years in a row.
Right?
What do you want from this guy? You know, so I used to get ticked too and just be like, what the hell, man? Like they're talking about, they got to get rid of McNabb, or Andy Reid's on the hot seat. I'm like, dude, they're like going to the Super Bowl every year.
Right. What do you want?
I mean, the past couple of years, like Philly's been like booing Joel Embiid when he's had like off games. And I'm like, this is your team. Like what is wrong with you?
Like,
you're supposed to rally behind your team when they're having an off day.
Like, this is not some like shiny market like LA folks. These players don't have to play here. I'll tell you that right now. Like, it's a bigger market for the Midwest, but that's not necessarily a destination spot for a lot of these guys.
No. It's a nice city.
I mean, have they ever won like a championship as the Sixers or anything?
I don't think so. Maybe
because I'm
like
just trying to
70s,
think if there's
80s.
like, because I kind of get like the bitter, like, because I kind of get when like Detroit Lions fans like like those years when they like didn't win a game and like people would go and like wear the bags on their head. Not that that's an original thing, but it was like kind of making a point of like, dude, you guys gotta turn this ship around. Like we're loyal fans, but this is embarrassing.
You know?
They won the title in '83.
Who is that?
They got Julius Erving, Moses Malone.
Moses, okay.
Yeah. Oh, wow, they beat the Lakers.
Mo Cheeks.
Yeah.
That's the greatest name of any human.
Oh, and that was up against Magic Johnson and Kareem.
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
That's a good.
Solid fucking championship to beat those guys.
Yeah, up against Pat Riley, too.
Yeah.
Oof. Bob McAdoo. James Worthy? Okay. Did not play. That's
they
weird.
swept them.
Whoa.
Damn.
Oh.
God damn.
Yo.
Let's play some basketball.
That rules.
That's awesome.
That is.
But yeah, before that was 55 and 67.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Conference title in 2001.
Like,
was that long?
Way predates the modern era at that point.
Yeah. Was that the only time Iverson made it?
Yeah, it was 2001.
Yeah,
Nice.
I remember that being a thing with Iverson. Like, he can't do it in the playoffs.
Holy shit.
Nah, Iverson carried that fucking team.
Yeah.
He was just like on another level that year, 2001, I think. And he stepped over Ty Lue. That's what everybody remembers.
Oh, that was the Ty Lue.
Yep.
Holy shit. Yeah.
In the finals.
Man.
And he won that first game. He took that first game off the Lakers.
Yeah. Shaq Lakers.
Yeah, Shaq and Kobe Lakers.
Yeah.
That's a man.
And
That
like
was an
his
era,
second
man.
best player was like a washed up Mutombo. By that
Yep.
point. He didn't have that much help.
Yeah. I forgot Mutombo was there.
Mutombo's sweet. He's awesome.
I love that man.
That finger wag is just too good.
I'm a big fan of a big guy.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Like, we'll get into it on talking 2K, but
Yeah,
I
we
know.
will.
I've been
Yes, we will.
this whole time while we've been talking, I've been like, should we save this? Should we save this?
I've got so much to talk about.
Yeah, we could. I know you guys can go basketball all day. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a basketball cast.
Did you guys ever see Wreck-It Ralph 2?
I did not see the sequel. No, I saw the first
I never
one.
did either.
Never see it. Because it is the grossest movie I think I've ever seen.
Yeah. Really?
It
'Cause
is-
The first one was good.
First one is great. I love the first one. The first one
Yeah.
is a movie that has a ton of heart. The second one is a paid advertisement for Silicon Valley. Like, there are Facebook, YouTube, and like Google are characters
Nope.
in it. And it is so blatant. Like, it is just like them funding it and like being like, oh, like, we're taking, a couple like pot shots at us. Look at us. We're the cool companies, but also we control everything. And
Right.
it is disgusting. It is honestly one of the like grossest I've ever felt.
Gross.
Like watching a movie. Like, I think Lauren and I finished it just because we were like, let's at least like be done so we don't have to the curiosity of what this movie. But like, there was a good moment about halfway through that we're like, we are not enjoying this at all. Like, it is
Man, that stinks.
miserable.
Woof.
Yeah,
Yeah, because Wreck-It Ralph was like such an innovative
and like
unique,
really
like,
heartfelt.
fresh movie.
Yep. Super
Yeah.
good, really great.
Yeah, and like super charming and just wholesome, good stuff.
And they managed to get like Sonic and Nintendo characters. They licensed
yeah.
that shit in there, which
All
is
of
like no easy thing to do.
And
Yep.
like, didn't they have like Halo stuff in there too?
I think they might have.
Like, I feel like I remember the Halo Marine.
They definitely
just, like,
had-
walking through.
Zangief.
Yeah,
Him off
Zangief was
Bison.
there,
They had
too.
like all kinds of stuff, like
Yeah.
just in like the or like the terminal things or whatever.
Yep.
They'd just be walking around. Yeah,
Yep. But
It's a cute movie.
yeah.
never see 2. It is.
Dang, that
Sounds
stinks,
good.
man.
Won't
Yeah.
bother then. I made it this far.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. I kind of forgot that it existed, to be honest.
Yeah.
Was it Ralph Breaks the Internet or something?
Yeah.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
That was
It's
kind of
a-
embarrassing, but we're just now finally watching the Miyazaki movies for the first time.
First time?
First time. Yeah.
Which ones?
Oh, that's shocking to me.
We're watching Totoro. We didn't quite make it to the end because we're old and needed to sleep, but we're like 2/3 through, and it's like, of course, it's like everything looks like a painted, like,
Yep.
yeah, like
Oh, man.
every screen you could just pause and be like, yeah, I could put that up on the wall.
Yeah.
I also like that just because I don't think really talked that much about movies, but like I don't know what
Yeah.
your taste is on movies, so like I'm very interested.
Yeah. I don't even know if I have a super like for a while I basically just did a lot of documentaries that I liked. Like that's what attracted my attention, honestly. Like
Yeah.
if you were to ask me what my favorite movie of all time is right now, it's probably American Movie, which is a documentary. Yeah.
I don't think I know that one.
It is a dude in Milwaukee who his dream is to make a movie, and it's like following him around while he makes this like very indie movie, and he's phenomenal as like just a character piece in himself in this documentary. And it's I think it might have won Sundance when it went, but it's I would highly recommend watching it, and it's also hilarious.
I would love to see. I saw it as when I was quite a bit younger, and it was like this movie that my cousin, like my older cousin, would always like whenever we would go to like a video rental store.
Yeah.
He'd always like point it out on the shelf and be like, "Man, I always have wanted to see this movie." Like he's like, "Just look at that cover; it looks hilarious."
Yes.
And like, but I think I saw it at like too young of an age to like get what I was watching. Like I just was like, I don't even think I like got that it was like a documentary.
Yeah.
Like I was like, is it a fake documentary?
Right.
I don't get it.
It feels like a fake documentary, but it's not. It is like
that's what I mean. Yeah, I don't think I was like putting it all together. So I would love to rewatch that, especially knowing that it's your favorite movie.
I don't think
Off the
it would
cuff,
be a
at least.
waste of either one of your time to watch that, especially because you guys have the Midwest background as well. I think it's phenomenal.
Yup.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. Are you going in order on the Miyazaki movies?
No, we were just kind of flipping around, and we had watched Spirited Away, but yeah,
Nice.
this is only the second one that we've watched since they're all on HBO Max.
I think
nice.
Spirited Away is my favorite, but like all Miyazaki movies, I feel like are very unique in that I don't feel like they're movies. Like I don't really feel like they have much in the way of plot.
Yeah,
And they just kind of
Yeah,
like
I agree.
wash over you, and you kind of experience them.
it's wonderful. I have
agree,
no
100%.
qualms with that whatsoever.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I'm trying to like think like I remember scenes, but
Yeah,
like,
like,
I don't know what really happened.
I think there's like a couple of like Princess Mononoke has a little more story to it, and like Nausicaa a little bit.
And I haven't seen
but-
those.
Those are both great. Some of the like, and Princess Mononoke's, I think those are both super well known. But even like the ones like Porco Rosso or whatever, like that one's really great. Like even the lesser known ones are all really good. I have that box set and I really enjoyed all of them.
I think we'll probably end up running through, at least what's available on HBO Max.
Yeah, I think there's like 10 total
Seems right.
that he did. Yeah, 9 or 10.
Yeah.
Kevin, have you seen
Yeah.
Grave of the Fireflies?
No, I own it on Blu-ray, and I just know that it's like devastating. Is all.
Yes.
That's like the only thing I know about it. Is like I've heard it's devastating, and I've heard like on some podcasts, so, like this is the like kind of joking, like this is the only cartoon you just never show to a kid or something. But yeah, so I own it, and I just know I need to be in like the right frame of mind where I just want to be crushed.
Yeah.
And watch it.
Yes. That's I also have not seen it, but like, yeah, I don't know a single person who hasn't just been like sobbing by the end of that movie.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people, it's like one of those movies where they're like, I love it, I'll never watch it again. Mm-hmm. And not in the way where it's like Requiem for a Dream. Like,
Right.
oh, it's so
That's exactly what came to mind when you said that.
Yeah. Because that's the movie everybody says, like, oh, it was a great movie, never want to see it again. But it's like because you see fucked up things in the movie. Like, I think this is just like, you don't want to be this devastated again.
Yeah.
Is like, that's the impression I get.
Well, it ended pretty devastatingly in that movie as well.
I never
say.
saw that one, actually.
Also,
Yeah.
not.
Requiem for a Dream.
I wouldn't recommend watching it if you don't want to be devastated.
Like, based on the reactions I got from people, I was like, yeah, maybe if you don't want to see it again, maybe I don't want to see it at all.
Yeah. I don't even know. I mean, and granted, I watched that like, 15 plus years ago at
God,
this
yeah,
point. So
probably.
who knows if it even aged well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I think a lot of people still hold it up pretty high.
Yeah.
But
What's the name of that director? It's the
Aronofsky.
Aronofsky.
Darren Aronofsky.
Yeah. I've not seen any of his movies.
None?
Nope.
Not The Wrestler? Man, that's a good one.
Ooh, The Wrestler is excellent.
Lauren's seen a lot of Aronofsky, and I've not.
I've only
Wrestler
seen a
is
couple,
excellent.
but The Wrestler is, I can, it's
The Wrestler is
fantastic.
excellent, and the other one, the Black Swan, is also excellent.
Oh, that's another one I own and have never seen.
I would highly recommend that you watch that.
Okay.
That's another one where I'm like, Oh man, I don't know if I have it in me to be
Yeah.
like. Oh,
I've always wanted to see Pi too. Which
Is that
looks-
also- is that Aronofsky too?
Yeah, the black and white.
Yeah.
Life of Pi is Ang Lee. That's what I was,
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I was getting confused.
There's like the trailer of like the guy in the mirror, like with the holding the drill up to his head, and I'm just like, okay, that's another movie that like you probably have to be in the right frame of mind. Like that's like David Lynch too, you know. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, do I want to be like in that fucked up frame of mind?
No,
Yeah.
John, I definitely recommend. I know you've watched wrestling in your past, and
Yes.
like, you would get a lot out of watching the
Yeah,
wrestler. And like, what's his face? Mickey Rourke is so fucking believable in his role in that movie. It's really good.
yeah,
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about it.
Yeah.
yeah. It's awesome. All right, we ready to roll?
We ready to
Video
clap?
games. Ooh.
Yeah, I'm writing down that time right now.
I'm at 1 hour and 6.
Same Z's.
Perfect.
I actually I don't see the way that Audacity is positioned on my screen. I don't see like the little crawl of the waveform, but
Yeah,
it does have the timer right at the bottom. So like I can see that instead, and I'm like, you know what? I like that better.
Yep.
nice.
I can see
Nice.
I can see the levels of my. It's like the Skype window is like a bar in the middle because I can't make it any smaller. So then like I can see my EQ bar for like my own mic, and then the timer at the bottom.
Yep.
Nice.
I've got a similar thing going here.
Yeah, I got like Skype as like a strip across the bottom, and then the GarageBand at the top.
Yeah, that's how I used to have it in the before time.
I'm just rewriting down the clap time.
Yep.
Thanks, John, for saying more words.
Sorry.
Way to go. No. It's all good. It's all good. All right, here we go.
Fuck your clap, Kevin.
Oh, that's great. That was great. Here we go.